The conference room has never been this silent. 23 pairs of eyes are fixed on the projection screen where my boss's face has gone from confident pink to ashen gray in the span of 30 seconds. The Eurodirector's hand is frozen midair, her expensive pen trembling between her fingers. I watch Marcus, my boss, my mentor, the man who promised me I was part of the family, as he stares at the email thread displayed in crisp, damning detail on the screen behind me. His mistress, Jennifer from accounting, has her hand clamped over her mouth, mascara already starting to run. This is fabricated, Marcus finally manages, but his voice cracks on the word fabricated. She's unstable. I already filed the report about her inappropriate behavior, the timestamp, I say quietly, and my voice sounds strange even to my own ears. Calm, cold. Nothing like the woman who cried in her car for 3 hours last week. The timestamp on these emails is March 14th. You filed your complaint against me on March 18th, 4 days after you and Jennifer discussed how to get rid of me. I click to the next slide. This one is particularly interesting. The email fills the screen. We need her gone before the quarterly review. She's asking too many questions about the Williams account. Once I promote you to her position, we can restructure the numbers properly. Nobody will know. Jennifer makes a sound like a wounded animal. The CO, Richard Thornton, stands up slowly from his seat at the head of the table. His face is the color of a heart attack. There's more, I continue, clicking through slide after slide. Emails detailing kickbacks, fabricated performance reviews, my stolen project proposals submitted under Jennifer's name, and this is the one that makes several board members actually gasp evidence of Marcus billing personal expenses to company accounts for 2 years. His affair with Jennifer conducted on company time, using company resources, all while filing false reports about my conduct to build a case for my termination. Before the story begins, please leave us a comment telling us which state or city you are watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe so this channel can grow and bring you more exciting stories. The legal counsel is typing frantically on her laptop. The HAR director looks like she might be sick. And Marcus is staring at me with something between hatred and disbelief, because 3 weeks ago I was begging him through tears not to fire me, and now I'm standing here in my best suit, backed by my attorney, destroying everything he built. How did you? He starts, then stops. How did I get your emails? I smile, and it doesn't reach my eyes. That's the beautiful part, Marcus. You gave me access, remember? When you promoted me to senior analyst, you said I needed administrative access to the shared drives for the Henderson project. You personally set up my permissions. I click to another slide showing the access logs. Everything I'm showing you, I obtained legally through systems you gave me permission to access, and I made sure to document every single step with our IT department. They'll confirm I did nothing wrong. His lawyer, yes, he brought his lawyer, which tells you he knew something was coming, stands up. This is corporate espionage. Your client will be filing for unemployment. Richard Thornton's voice cuts through the room like a blade. Sit down. Ms. Chen, please continue. To understand how I got here, I need to take you back to where it all began. 6 months earlier, I had loved my job. That sounds almost naive to say now, but it was true. Every morning at 7, I'd arrive at Patterson & Associates with my coffee and my carefully prepared notes, ready to tackle whatever complex financial analysis Marcus needed. I'd been there for 4 years, worked my way up from junior analyst to senior analyst, and I genuinely believed I was valued. That particular morning started like hundreds of others. I reached my desk on the 14th floor just as the sunrise hit the glass building across the street, turning everything gold. My workspace was organized the way I liked it, 3 monitors, files color-coded, a small succulent plant. My sister gave me that, somehow survived despite my black thumb. I could see Marcus's office from my desk, the door usually open, his way of saying he was accessible. I was good at my job. No, I was excellent at my job. The Williams account, our biggest client, worth $42 million annually, was my baby. I'd spent 8 months building that relationship, analyzing their portfolio, restructuring their investments to save them $340,000 in the first year alone. Mr. Williams sent me a bottle of champagne when the numbers came through. Marcus took me to lunch and said, "This is why you're invaluable, Sarah. You see things other people miss." I believed him. That morning, I was reviewing the quarterly reports when something caught my eye. A discrepancy in the Williams account, $23,000, in fees that didn't match my calculations. Small enough to overlook, large enough to matter. I flagged it, made a note to ask Marcus about it in our afternoon meeting. I didn't know that small question would unravel everything. I didn't know Marcus had spent the last 3 months building an exit strategy for me, carefully constructing a paper trail of fabricated complaints and false performance issues. I didn't know Jennifer from accounting, the woman who always complimented my presentations, who brought me soup when I had the flu last winter, was sleeping with my boss and had her eye on my position. I didn't know my career was already over. I just hadn't been told yet. Marcus and I had a mentor-mentee relationship that I treasured. He was 52, silver-haired, commanding but approachable. He'd hired me fresh out of grad school when bigger firms passed me over. "You're hungry," he'd said during my interview. I like hungry. I can work with hungry. For 4 years, he invested in my development, taught me the industry, introduced me to clients. At my last performance review 6 months ago, he rated me exemplary across the board and hinted at a promotion to team lead. "You're the future of this department, Sarah," he'd said, hands folded on his desk, that paternal smile I'd come to trust. "I want you to start thinking about leadership. You've got the skills. Now we develop the presence." I had no family in the city. My parents were gone. My sister lived in Seattle. This job, this team, they'd become my foundation. The late nights working on presentations, the celebration drinks when we landed new clients, the inside jokes and shared pressure of quarterly reviews. I thought I'd found where I belonged. What I didn't see, what I couldn't have seen, was Marcus watching his own career plateau. No promotion to VP for 3 years running. Younger managers getting the spotlight. His marriage falling apart. His wife's family money drying up in a bitter divorce. He needed a win, needed to look valuable again, and I had just handed him one with the Williams account. The day everything shattered was a Tuesday in March. Completely ordinary until it wasn't. I arrived at my desk at 7:15 to find an email from here requesting my presence in conference room B at 9 o'clock. Subject line, performance discussion. My stomach dropped. Performance discussions didn't happen in March. They happened during review cycles, and they definitely didn't come from HAR. They came from your supervisor. I walked to Marcus's office. His door was closed. Through the glass, I could see him on the phone, but when he noticed me, he turned his chair away. That small gesture that turning away sent ice through my veins. At 8:45, I gathered my notepad and walked to conference room B. My hands were sweating. The room was smaller than the one where I destroyed him weeks later, just a rectangular table and 6 chairs. Marcus sat on one side with Diane from Hair. Jennifer from accounting was there too, sitting beside Marcus. That was odd. Why would someone from accounting be at my performance discussion? "Sarah, please sit," Diane said, her voice carefully neutral. She was in her 50s, had worked at Patterson for 15 years, wore the same style of pantsuit in different colors. I'd always found her pleasant, if bureaucratic. Now her face was closed off, unreadable. I sat. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. "We've received some concerning reports about your conduct," Diane began, sliding a folder across the table. "Marcus has documented several instances of insubordination, missed deadlines, and inappropriate behavior with clients." The words didn't make sense. They were English, but they assembled themselves into something incomprehensible. "What? What? Instances?" Marcus finally looked at me, and his expression, his expression was cold. All the warmth, all the mentorship gone like it had never existed. "Sarah, we've been patient. We've tried to work with you. But the situation with Mr. Williams last week was unacceptable." "What situation?" My voice came out too high. "Mr. Williams sent me a thank you note about he called me personally to complain about your aggressive investment suggestions and inappropriate phone calls outside business hours," Marcus interrupted. "Jennifer had to step in and smooth things over. She's been managing the account for the past 3 weeks. The room tilted. I never, Marcus. You know that's not true. I haven't spoken to Mr. Williams in 2 weeks because you told me you were handling the quarterly review personally. There's also the matter of team morale," Diane continued, flipping pages in her folder. "Multiple colleagues have reported hostile interactions, coming in late, leaving early, missed meetings." "I've never missed a meeting. I've been here before 8 every morning for 4 years. You can check the building logs. We have checked them," Marcus said smoothly. "You badge in early, but you're not at your desk. We've had to track you down multiple times." "I'm sorry, Sarah. I've been covering for you because Marcus asked me to, but I can't anymore. It's affecting my own work." The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Jennifer, who I'd helped train on the new software. Jennifer, who asked me to lunch at least twice a month. Jennifer, who knew every one of these accusations was a lie. "This is insane," I said, and I heard the tremor in my voice. "Marcus, what's really happening here? Is this about the discrepancy I found? The fees in the Williams account that don't? This is about your inability to accept feedback and your deteriorating performance." Marcus cut in, his voice sharp. "We're placing you on a performance improvement plan effective immediately, 30 days. If you can't meet the outlined objectives, we'll have to discuss separation. 30 days. PIP, the corporate kiss of death." Everyone knew PIPs weren't about improvement. They were about building a legal case for termination. This is confidential feedback from your colleagues. We protect the privacy of those who report concerns. So I'm being accused of things by people I can't confront, about incidents with no specific dates, with no chance to defend myself? You're being given an opportunity to improve, Diane corrected. I suggest you take it seriously. The objectives are in the folder: increased oversight of your client communications, mandatory weekly check-ins with Marcus and myself, and a temporary reassignment of the Williams account to Jennifer's oversight while you work on your interpersonal skills. We're taking Williams. My account, my work, giving it to her. I looked at Marcus, really looked at him, and saw something in his eyes that made my blood freeze. Satisfaction. He was enjoying this. Why? I whispered. Marcus, why are you doing this? I'm trying to save your career, Sarah. If you just listen, this is bullshit, I said, louder than I intended. This is complete bullshit, and you know it. Diane's expression hardened. That kind of language is exactly what we're talking about. Unprofessional, hostile. I stood up so fast my chair rolled backward. I don't accept this. I want to speak to Richard. I want to go above your head because Mr. Thornton is aware of the situation, Marcus said calmly. He approved the PIP. Sarah, you're emotional right now. Take the rest of the day to calm down, review the objectives, and come back tomorrow ready to work on this. Or don't come back at all. The threat hung in the air. I grabbed my bag and walked out before they could see me cry. I made it to the women's bathroom on the 12th floor, far enough away that I wouldn't see anyone I knew, locked myself in a stall and pressed my fist against my mouth to keep from sobbing out loud. 4 years. 4 years of 70-hour weeks of brilliant work, of loyalty, and in 30 minutes, it was gone. My phone buzzed. An email from Diane with the PIP documents attached. I opened it with trembling fingers. The objectives were impossible. Demonstrate improved client relationships by successfully onboarding 3 new accounts within 30 days. We averaged 1 new account per quarter. Show enhanced team collaboration by receiving positive feedback from 5 colleagues. How could I get positive feedback from colleagues who'd allegedly already complained about me? Complete remedial training on professional conduct and advanced financial analysis. Remedial training. Like I was incompetent. It was designed for me to fail. I splashed cold water on my face, fixed my makeup as best I could, and went back to my desk. People glanced at me as I walked through the department. Did they know? Had Marcus already spread the word? At my desk, I opened my email and started going through my files, my communications with Mr. Williams, my project documentation. Everything was pristine, every deadline met, every communication professional. I had proof, concrete proof, that I'd done nothing wrong. But then I started noticing things, small things. A file I'd created for the Williams presentation was now showing Jennifer as the last editor, dated 3 days ago. A project proposal I'd drafted in January was in the shared drive with Jennifer's name on it. My access to certain client folders had been restricted. When had that happened? They'd been planning this. For weeks, maybe months, they'd been systematically building a case and erasing my evidence. I worked until 8 that night, downloading everything I could to a personal drive. Every email, every file, every piece of documentation that proved my competence and their lies. If they were going to fire me, I wasn't going down without a fight. What I didn't realize was how deep the conspiracy went. Or that by downloading those files, I'd accidentally grabbed something else, something that would eventually give me the ammunition to destroy them both. But that discovery was still days away. First, I had to survive what came next. The next 3 weeks were psychological warfare. Marcus watched everything I did with the intensity of a hawk. Every email I sent had to be CC'd to him and Diane. Every client call was randomly monitored. Jennifer was suddenly in every meeting, offering to help with my workload, which really meant taking over my projects and getting credit for my work. I arrived earlier, stayed later, documented everything obsessively. I was perfect, meticulous, professional to the point of robotic. It didn't matter. On April 9th, 3 weeks into my PIP, and a week before my evaluation, I came back from lunch to find my desk phone ringing. Mr. Williams. My heart leaped. I hadn't been allowed to contact him directly, but if he was calling me, maybe he could confirm to Har that everything Marcus said was a lie. Mr. Williams, thank you for calling. Is this how you people do business? His voice was angry, sharp. I received an email from your company email address at 2 in the morning. 2 in the morning, Ms. Chen, asking me to approve a restructure of my entire portfolio with language that frankly sounded drunk or unhinged. I'm calling to ask what the hell is going on over there. My blood turned to ice. I didn't, Mr. Williams. I didn't send you any email. Can you forward it to me? I forwarded it to Marcus an hour ago. He assured me you were dealing with personal issues and that Jennifer would be my primary contact going forward. I'm disappointed, Sarah. I thought we had a good working relationship. We do, Mr. Williams. I swear to you, I didn't send that email. But he'd already hung up. I pulled up my sent folder. There it was, an email to Mr. Williams at 2:47 a.m., rambling and unprofessional, suggesting wildly inappropriate investment changes, signed with my name. I never sent it. I was asleep at 2:47 a.m., but it was in my sent folder from my email address. Someone had accessed my email and sent it. I stood up to go to Marcus's office, to someone, when Diane appeared at my desk. Sarah, we need you in conference room B now. This was it. I knew it was it, the same room, the same setup, but this time there was a security guard standing by the door. A banker's box sat on the table. Your PIP period is terminated early, Diane said without preamble. The incident with Mr. Williams last night was the final straw. You're being terminated for cause, effective immediately. I didn't send that email. Someone hacked It confirmed the email came from your computer, from your IP address, at a time when you were the only person with access. Marcus's voice was flat, final. Sarah, I tried to help you. We all did. But you're not well. You need to seek help. Not well. He was gaslighting me even now, in front of witnesses. You did this, I said, looking at him. You sent that email. You've been sabotaging me this whole time because I stopped. Because why? I still didn't understand why. Jennifer wouldn't meet my eyes. You have 30 minutes to clear your desk under security supervision, Diane continued. Your final paycheck will be mailed. You'll sign this separation agreement, which includes a non-disparagement clause and a waiver of your right to sue for wrongful termination. In exchange, we're offering 2 weeks severance despite the for-cause termination. That's generous given the circumstances. 2 weeks severance. I had $400 in my bank account and rent due in 12 days at $180.50. My car payment was $420.20. Insurance, utilities, groceries. I'd be broke in 6 weeks. I'm not signing that. My voice sounded distant, like someone else was speaking. Then you get no severance at all, Diane said. And we'll pursue legal action for the damage your conduct caused to our client relationships. Mr. Williams is considering pulling his entire account. That's $4.2 million in liability, Sarah. I'd suggest you sign. I thought about fighting. About refusing to leave. About calling a lawyer I couldn't afford. About screaming the truth until someone believed me. But the security guard's presence made it clear I was leaving this building one way or another. I signed the paper. The walk to my desk was endless. People stared from their cubicles as I packed 4 years of my life into a cardboard box. The security guard stood 3 feet behind me the entire time. I took my succulent plant, my few personal photos, my coffee mug. I had to leave my files, my laptop, everything with company data. Jennifer walked past with a stack of folders, and didn't even glance my direction. At 3:47 p.m. on April 9th, I walked out of Patterson & Associates for the last time. The spring air felt too warm, too bright. People were having normal days. Getting coffee, talking on phones, living lives where their careers hadn't just been murdered. I sat in my car in the parking garage for an hour, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. Everything I'd built, everything I'd worked for, gone. And I didn't even understand why. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. I'm sorry it came to this. You have real talent, Sarah. I hope you get the help you need. The sheer audacity of that message, the fake concern, the implication that I was mentally unstable ignited something in me. Rage, pure and clean, cutting through the despair. I opened my laptop sitting there in my car and started going through the files I'd downloaded weeks ago. There had to be something, some proof, some evidence of what they'd done, and that's when I found it. In a folder of routine emails I'd copied from the shared drive, there was a thread I'd never seen before. I must have grabbed it accidentally. It was from Marcus's personal folder that I'd briefly had access to during the Henderson project. The subject line read, Williams Account Transition Plan. I opened it. The first email was from Marcus to Jennifer, dated February 3rd, over a month before my PIP started. Jennifer, we need to discuss Sarah Chen's position. She's asking questions about the Williams account fees that could become problematic. She's competent, which is the issue. I need someone in that senior analyst role who's easier to work with and won't scrutinize every detail. I'm thinking we transition her out and promote you. Your accounting background makes it more defensible, and you understand our arrangement regarding the fee structures. Jennifer's response, how do we do that without raising flags? She's well-liked, and her performance is documented as strong. Marcus, leave that to me. Her trust my judgment. We start building a paper trail, small things at first. I'll need you to back up my reports about team concerns. By March, we should have enough to put her on a PIP. During that 30 days, we'll make sure she can't succeed. Then we terminate for cause no severance vulnerability, no unemployment claim. You'll be in her position by May. There were 17 more emails in the thread. Planning my destruction like it was a project timeline. Jennifer would get my salary $89,000 to her current $61,000. Marcus would restructure the Williams account fees in a way that apparently kicked back additional revenue to them somehow, and I would be erased. I sat in that parking garage until the sun set, reading every email. The fake complaints they'd fabricated, the plan to hack my email and send that message to Williams. Jennifer had done it. She'd access my computer during a late evening when I went to the bathroom, staying logged in for 30 seconds to send the email and clear the browser history. Make sure the language seems unstable, Marcus had written. We needed to look like she's having a breakdown. They destroyed my career, my reputation, my financial stability, not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I was good at my job. Because I asked the right questions. Because I was a liability to whatever scheme they were running with client fees. I should have gone to a lawyer immediately. Should have gone to the police. Should have done a dozen things differently. But I was 29 years old, suddenly unemployed, with a bank account that wouldn't survive 2 months and no family support system. I was terrified and exhausted and broken. So I drove home to my apartment, ate cereal for dinner because I couldn't afford to waste food on emotional eating, and cried myself to sleep on the couch. The worst was yet to come. The first week after being fired, I applied to 47 jobs. Send my resume to every financial firm in the city, every position even remotely related to my skill set. I was qualified, overqualified even. I had a master's degree in finance from a respected program, 4 years of excellent experience, measurable results with major accounts. I got 2 responses, both rejections within 48 hours, unusually fast rejections. On day 9 of unemployment, I found out why. A former colleague from Patterson-David who'd always been friendly called me. Sarah, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I think you need to know. Marcus has been calling around to other firms. I have a friend at Lexington Partners who said they were about to bring you in for an interview. Until Marcus reached out personally. He told them you were terminated for erratic behavior and inappropriate client contact. He's poisoning your reputation. My stomach dropped. He can't do that. That's defamation. Can you prove it? He's doing it on phone calls, nothing in writing, and he's a respected director at a major firm. You're someone who got fired. Who do you think they'll believe? He was right. I'd signed a non-disparagement agreement, which meant I couldn't legally speak badly about Patterson or Marcus. But Marcus was free to destroy me through whisper networks and off-the-record phone calls. I couldn't get a job in finance in this city, maybe not in this state. The second week, my landlord knocked on my door. Rent was due tomorrow. I had one OC 80/20/2020 my account, not enough to cover both rent and my car payment. I asked for a 3-day extension. He agreed, reluctantly. I called my car loan company and asked about payment deferment. They could give me 1 month, but the interest would compound. I took it. I applied for unemployment. Because I was terminated for cause, my claim was automatically flagged for review. It would take 6 to 8 weeks to process. I started rationing food, ramen noodles, peanut butter sandwiches. I canceled my gym membership, my streaming subscriptions, everything I could cut. It wasn't enough. By week 3, I had $340 in my checking account. I'd missed my car payment even with the deferment because I needed that money for groceries. My sister called from Seattle, and I couldn't bring myself to tell her what happened. She was dealing with her own struggles. Her husband had just lost his job. I couldn't burden her. I interviewed at a retail store for an assistant manager position. It paid $37,000 a year, less than half my Patterson salary, but I was desperate. They said they'd let me know. They never called back. I started having panic attacks. At night, lying in my increasingly depressing apartment, I'd replay the conference room scene over and over. Marcus's cold face, Jennifer's betrayal, my own powerlessness. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Lost 8 pounds in 3 weeks. On April 30th, exactly 3 weeks after being fired, I got an email from my landlord. Pay rent in full by tomorrow or begin eviction proceedings. I had $18.16 in my account. I sat on my apartment floor, looking at my nearly empty refrigerator, my past due utility bills, my rejection emails, and I thought, this is it. This is how people become homeless. This is how lives fall apart. Not dramatically, but in small, incremental disasters that compound until there's no way out. I should call my sister, ask to stay with her while I figured things out. But Seattle was expensive, and she was barely holding on herself. I'd have to sell my car to afford the move, which meant no transportation to find work. I opened my laptop to search for emergency assistance programs, shelters, anything. My email loaded, showing a message from 2 weeks ago I'd somehow missed. Subject line, Estate Settlement, Emily Chen. Emily Chen, my mother. I opened it slowly, confused. My mother died 8 years ago. Why would I be getting estate settlement emails now? Dear Ms. Sarah Chen, This letter is to inform you that as the sole surviving beneficiary of Emily Chen, deceased 2016, you are entitled to assets held in trust at First National Bank. These assets were designated to be released to you only under specific circumstances outlined by the account holder. Our records indicate those circumstances have now been triggered. Please contact our office to schedule an appointment to discuss the estate. Richard Morrison, estate attorney, Morrison & Fields, LPI, read it 3 times. My mother had been a middle school teacher. My father died when I was 12, and Mom raised my sister and me on a teacher's salary and life insurance money that ran out when I was in college. We'd never had money. When she died, there was nothing, just her small house that we sold to cover medical bills, her car, her personal belongings. What assets? What trust? I Googled the law firm. Legitimate. Big firm, downtown. Specialized in estate law and wealth management. I called the number with shaking hands. It was after 5, so I left a voicemail. This is Sarah Chen returning a message about my mother Emily Chen's estate. I'm confused about what this is regarding. Please call me back. They called the next morning at 9:03 a.m. Ms. Chen, thank you for calling back. Richard Morrison's voice was professionally warm. I apologize for the confusion. Your mother set up a trust in 2010 with very specific instructions. The assets were to be held until you reached age 29 and only released if certain trigger conditions were met. Our monitoring system indicated those triggers occurred 3 weeks ago. What? Triggers? Loss of employment under adverse circumstances within 90 days of your 29th birthday. Your mother was quite specific. She wanted the funds available if you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed it most. My 29th birthday was March 15th. I was fired April 9th. Within the window. How did you know I lost my job? Your mother set up automatic monitoring of certain public records and credit markers. When multiple flags occurred simultaneously, employment verification gaps, unemployment claims, credit inquiries, it triggered a review. I'm sorry for what you're going through, Mrs. Chen. I couldn't speak, couldn't process this. My mother had planned for this 6 years before she died. What assets? I finally whispered. I think we should discuss this in person. Can you come to our office today? I've cleared my afternoon. I drove to Morrison & Fields in a daze. The office was on the 41st floor of downtown's tallest building, glass and marble, and the kind of wealth I'd only dealt with through clients. The receptionist offered me coffee. I accepted because I couldn't remember the last time I'd had real coffee. Richard Morrison was in his 60s, gray-haired, kind eyes behind expensive glasses. He shook my hand and gestured to a leather chair in his corner office. The view looked out over the entire city. Your mother was a remarkable woman, he began, setting a file folder on the desk. I met her only once, in 2010, when she set up the trust. She'd recently been diagnosed with early-stage cancer, successfully treated, as you know, but it made her think about protecting you and your sister. My sister? Different trust structure. Hers triggers at age 32 or upon the birth of her first child. Your mother tailored each trust to your individual circumstances and needs. I don't understand. She was a teacher. We never had money. Your father had a life insurance policy you didn't know about, a substantial one through his employer. Your mother never touched it. She invested it quietly over 12 years. She lived frugally, worked extra jobs to make sure that money grew. He opened the folder. Bank statements, investment records, pages and pages of carefully managed accounts. The current value of your trust is $80,47,233. The number didn't make sense. I heard it, but my brain couldn't process it. $847,293, he repeated gently. Your mother turned $200,000 in life insurance into this over 12 years. She was extremely financially savvy. The investments were conservative but smart. I started crying, just completely broke down in this stranger's office, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. All the pressure of the past month, the fear, the desperation, the hunger and panic and shame, it all crashed over me. Richard handed me tissues and waited quietly. When I could finally speak, I said, "Why didn't she tell me?" She wanted to, but she was afraid you'd refuse it, insist she use it for herself. She knew you'd sacrifice your own security for hers, so she hid it, and she set it up to release only when you truly needed it, when pride wouldn't make you refuse. He pulled out an envelope. She left you a letter to be given to you when the trust released. My hand shook as I opened it, my mother's handwriting, precise, small, familiar. My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, it means you're going through something difficult, and I'm not there to help you through it. I'm so sorry, sweetheart, but I want you to know that I saw this possibility. I saw your strength, your brilliance, your work ethic, and I saw how those same qualities could make you vulnerable to people who would use them against you. You were always the one who gave everything, who trusted completely, who believed in systems and merit and fairness. I worried that someday someone would take advantage of that beautiful, trusting heart. This money is not charity. It's not pity. It's your inheritance, earned by your father's hard work and my years of careful planning. But more than that, it's freedom. Freedom to fight back when you've been wronged. Freedom to take time to heal. Freedom to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you. Don't just survive whatever you're facing, Sarah. Win. Use every resource at your disposal. Be strategic. Be ruthless if you need to be. The people who hurt you are counting on you being too broken, too poor, too powerless to fight back. Prove them wrong. You are my daughter. You are brilliant and strong and deserving of every good thing. Don't you dare let anyone convince you otherwise. I love you forever, Mom. I sat in that office for another hour while Richard explained the practical details. The money was mine immediately. No restrictions on use. No taxes. It had been in trust, already taxed. He recommended I open new accounts at a different bank, keep the windfall quiet, and consider hiring a financial advisor and attorney if I intended to take action against my former employer. Do you? He asked. Intend to take action. I thought about Marcus's face. Jennifer's betrayal. The systematic destruction of my career, the emails I'd accidentally downloaded. Yes, I said, I'm going to destroy them. Richard smiled a small, approving smile. Then you'll need someone who specializes in employment law and corporate fraud. I know someone. Her name is Patricia Hendricks. She's formidable. He made the call while I sat there. Patricia could meet me tomorrow at 9. I left Morrison and Fields feeling like I'd stepped into someone else's life. I stopped at the bank and opened new accounts, transferred the full amount, watched the numbers populate on the screen, real numbers and my name accessible immediately. I drove to a nice restaurant and ordered a meal, a real meal, salmon and vegetables and a glass of wine. I ate slowly, tasting everything, letting my body remember what it felt like not to be in survival mode. Then I went home and read every single email in that thread again. This time, not with despair, with strategy. They had no idea what was coming. Patricia Hendricks was exactly what Richard promised, formidable. She was in her 50s, impeccably dressed, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her office walls were covered with framed settlements and case victories. I told her everything. Showed her the emails, explained the false PIP, the fabricated complaints, the hacked email to Mr. Williams. She listened without interrupting, taking occasional notes. When I finished, she sat back and smiled. They handed you a gift. A gift? They put it in writing. Most employment discrimination and retaliation cases are, he said, she said, difficult to prove. But Marcus and Jennifer documented their entire conspiracy in company emails. They detailed their plan to fabricate your termination, admitted to creating false evidence, and revealed what sounds like systematic fraud with client accounts. She tapped the pages. This isn't just wrongful termination. This is fraud, conspiracy, possibly embezzlement, depending on what they were doing with those fee structures. We can go after them personally in Patterson and Associates corporately. How long will it take? Depends on what you want. We can file suit, go through discovery, probably settle in 6 to 9 months. But if you want real justice, if you want them exposed publicly, we need to be more strategic. What do you mean? Patricia leaned forward. We build an airtight case. We investigate exactly what they were doing with the Williams account and any other client accounts. We find evidence of the financial fraud, not just the employment violations. Then we don't just sue, we bring it to the State Attorney General's office, the SEC if securities are involved. The company's board of directors. We make sure Marcus and Jennifer don't just lose this case. We make sure they lose everything. The viciousness of it should have shocked me. Instead, I felt calm. Clear. How much will this cost, normally? Hundreds of thousands in legal fees. But I'll take this on contingency because I want to win it. I'll cover the costs of investigation, and I take 30% of whatever we recover. But Sarah, you need to understand, this could take months. It will be ugly. They'll fight back. They'll try to destroy your credibility even more than they already have. You need to be ready for war. I thought about my mother's letter. Be ruthless if you need to be. I'm ready. What do we do first? We spent the next 3 hours planning. Patricia would hire a forensic investigator to audit the Williams account and Patterson's financial records, everything we could access legally through discovery. We'd file an EOC complaint immediately to start the clock on my right to sue. We'd reach out to Mr. Williams directly and inform him he may have been a victim of fraud, encouraging him to audit his own accounts. The goal, Patricia explained, is to create pressure from multiple directions. The company will panic when they realize you have resources and representation. Marcus will panic when his scheme starts unraveling. That panic will make them sloppy. They'll make mistakes, destroy evidence, contradict themselves. and we'll be documenting everything. I left her office with a plan and a timeline. Phase 1, investigation and evidence gathering, 4 to 6 weeks. Phase 2, file formal complaints with multiple agencies. Phase 3, negotiate from a position of strength or proceed to litigation. Phase 4, public exposure and criminal referrals if warranted. I spent the next month living quietly. I didn't look for work. Patricia advised against it, said my focus needed to be on the case. I used the trust money to pay my bills, bought decent groceries, slept in a bed that wasn't vibrating with anxiety, and I waited while Patricia's team worked. The investigator, a former FBI forensic accountant named Marcus, ironic that, found the scheme within 2 weeks. Marcus Thompson and Jennifer had been systematically overcharging the Williams account and several others by inflating management fees, then pocketing the difference through a shell company Jennifer had set up. Over 3 years, they'd embezzled approximately $300,000. The numbers were buried in complex fee structures that required advanced accounting knowledge to detect. I would have found it eventually. That's why they needed me gone. Mr. Williams, when contacted by Patricia, was initially skeptical, but agreed to have his accountant review the records. 3 days later, his attorney called Patricia. He wanted to cooperate fully. He was furious. The EOC complaint triggered an automatic review. Patterson and Associates had to respond, had to produce documentation, had to allow the records to be examined. Once the company assigned their legal counsel, who quickly realized Marcus's documentation of my poor performance contradicted multiple other records, my performance reviews, client feedback, project successes. The story didn't hold up under scrutiny. Patricia got a call from Patterson's attorney in week 5. They wanted to discuss settlement. They're scared, she told me over coffee. They know they're exposed. They're going to offer you money to go away. How much? Probably low 6 figures, enough to make most wrongful termination cases disappear. But we're not taking it. Why not? Because we're not done. We're going to bring this to the board, to Richard Thornton, directly. We're going to show them that their director and a member of their accounting team committed fraud using company resources, and that when you discovered evidence of that fraud, they systematically destroyed your career to protect themselves. Patterson didn't just fire you wrongfully, they enabled criminal activity. That's a massive liability. They'll have to take action against Marcus and Jennifer to protect themselves. When? 2 weeks. I want all our evidence compiled into a presentation. Then we request a meeting with Thornton and the board, and we show them everything. The meeting was scheduled for June 12th, 64 days after I'd been fired. Patricia and I arrived at Patterson and Associates at 2 p.m. I wore my best suit, a new one actually, purchased specifically for this. I looked professional, confident. I looked perfect, nothing like the broken woman who'd cried in the parking garage. The receptionist's eyes widened when she saw me. She made a call. 2 minutes later, Marcus appeared in the lobby. His face went pale. "Sarah, what are you? You can't be here. You violated the non-disparagement agreement by, I'm here with my attorney to meet with Mr. Thornton," I said calmly. "We have an appointment." "This is harassment. I'll call security, please do," Patricia said pleasantly. "I'd love to explain to security why you're trying to prevent a former employee from attending a scheduled meeting about your fraud." Marcus's mouth opened and closed. Jennifer appeared behind him, probably having been alerted. Her face drained of color when she saw me. "Hello, Jennifer," I said. My voice was ice. Richard Thornton's assistant appeared. "Ims Chen, Mr. Thornton will see you now." We followed her to the executive floor, somewhere I'd never been during my employment. The conference room was bigger than the one where they'd fired me. Thornton sat at the head of the table with 3 other board members and the company's legal counsel. "Ims Chen, Patricia, please sit." Thornton's expression was carefully neutral. "I understand you have information about your termination that you believe we should hear?" "We do," Patricia said. She opened her laptop and connected it to the room's projection system. "What we're about to show you represents 4 weeks of investigation into systematic fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy at your company. We're sharing this with you before filing criminal complaints because we believe Patterson and Associates is a victim here, not a perpetrator. But your response to this information will determine how we proceed." She started the presentation. First, the emails between Marcus and Jennifer planning my termination. Marcus started to object, but Thornton held up a hand. Let her finish. Second, the forensic audit of the Williams account showing overcharges totaling $94,000 over 18 months. Mr. Williams's attorney had sent a demand letter. Patricia included it in the presentation. Third, evidence of similar overcharges on 4 other major accounts, totaling $340,000 in suspected embezzlement. Fourth, Jennifer's shell company, incorporated 3 years ago, with deposits matching the embezzled amounts. Fifth, the fake email sent from my account to Mr. Williams, with it logs showing it was sent from Jennifer's workstation while she was logged into my profile. Sixth, Marcus's phone calls to other firms poisoning my professional reputation, documented through statements from 3 hiring managers who'd been contacted. The room was dead silent. "This is fabricated," Marcus finally said, but his voice shook. She was fired for cause. She's retaliating with false. The forensic evidence has been verified by independent auditors," Patricia interrupted. "The email metadata is authentic. The bank records are real. You can confirm everything we've shown you. But more importantly, Mr. Williams' attorney has already filed a complaint with the State Attorney General's office regarding the overbilling. That investigation will happen whether you cooperate or not." Thornton looked at Marcus with an expression I couldn't read. "You told me Sarah Chen was terminated for erratic behavior and inappropriate client contact. She was. This is all. You told me she sent a deranged email to our most valuable client. She did, except the IT logs show that email was sent from Jennifer's workstation." Thornton's voice was getting louder. "You told me her performance was declining, but I'm looking at her last 3 performance reviews, and they're all exemplary. You told me multiple colleagues complained about her, but I don't see any documentation of complaints filed before you initiated her PIP. I was protecting those colleagues. Privacy. You were covering up fraud." Thornton slammed his hand on the table. "Do you have any idea what you've done to this company? We're going to be sued by multiple clients. Our reputation, our fiduciary responsibility, you've destroyed everything." Jennifer was crying. Actual tears running down her face, mascara smearing. She looked at me. "Sarah, please, I'm sorry. Marcus said it was just going to be a quick transition. I didn't know he was going to—" "You helped him," I said quietly. "You sent that email from my account. You backed up his lies. You took my job, my projects, my work, and you smiled at me while you did it. I needed the money. I needed the promotion. You don't understand." "You're right," I interrupted. "I don't understand betraying someone who trusted you for a salary increase." Thornton looked at his legal counsel. "What's our exposure?" "Significant," the attorney said grimly. "Wrongful termination, defamation, potentially aiding and abetting fraud if we don't take immediate action." "Ms. Hendricks, what are you asking for?" "Complete termination of Marcus Thompson and Jennifer Reyes for cause with notification to all relevant professional licensing boards." Patricia. "Full restoration of MS Chen's professional reputation, including written reference letters and proactive outreach to any firms Marcus contacted to correct his false statements. Compensation for lost wages, emotional distress, and punitive damages. We can discuss numbers. And full cooperation with any criminal investigations into the embezzlement." "That's insane," Marcus said, standing up. "I'm not going to be—" "Sit down," Thornton ordered. "Security?" 2 security guards appeared at the door, the same ones who'd escorted me out 8 weeks ago. "Please escort Mr. Thompson and Miss Reyes to their offices to collect personal items only. They're terminated effective immediately. Disable their access to all systems, accounts, and buildings. If they resist, call the police." Marcus stared at Thornton. "You can't, Richard. I've been with this company for 11 years, and you spent the last 3 years stealing from our clients and destroying the career of one of our best analysts to cover it up. Get out of my building." Jennifer was sobbing openly now as the security guards approached. She looked at me one more time. "Sarah, please. I have student loans. You should have thought about that before you decided my career was worth less than your ambition," I said. They were escorted out. The door closed. Thornton sat down heavily. "Ms. Chen, on behalf of Patterson and Associates, I am profoundly sorry. This should never have happened. Patricia, let's discuss compensation." We settled for $225,000 plus a full benefits package for 18 months, written references, and Patterson's legal team working with mine to correct every false statement Marcus had made to other employers. They would also issue a public statement about discovering internal fraud and taking immediate action, which would help rehabilitate my professional reputation without naming me specifically. More importantly, Patterson's attorney confirmed they would be filing criminal complaints against both Marcus and Jennifer and cooperating fully with law enforcement. I walked out of that building at 5:47 p.m. 2 hours after walking in, with justice and a settlement check and my professional reputation restored. Marcus and Jennifer were escorted out just ahead of us, carrying their cardboard boxes, faces destroyed. Marcus saw me in the lobby. His expression was pure hatred. "You're going to regret this," he said. "I don't think I will," I replied. The fallout was spectacular. The State Attorney General's office opened a formal investigation within a week. Marcus and Jennifer were both arrested on embezzlement charges, Marcus for orchestrating the scheme, Jennifer for creating the shell company and falsifying records. Bail was set at $100,000 each. The story made the local business news. Patterson and Associates executives arrested for client fraud. My name wasn't mentioned per the settlement agreement, but everyone in the industry knew. People talk. Mr. Williams pulled his account anyway, despite Patterson refunding all the overcharged fees. The trust was broken. 3 other clients did the same. Patterson lost approximately $8 million in managed assets in the span of a month. Jennifer lost her CPA license pending the outcome of the criminal case. She was facing 3 to 5 years in prison if convicted. Marcus lost everything faster. His professional reputation was destroyed overnight. His wife, who'd apparently been in the process of reconciling with him, filed for divorce and a restraining order when she discovered the affair and the fraud. He was forced to liquidate assets to cover legal fees. The trial was scheduled for October, 4 months away. Patricia was confident both would plead guilty to avoid prison time, but the felony convictions would follow them forever. I didn't feel victorious exactly. I felt clear. I took 3 months off before even thinking about working again. Patricia connected me with 2 firms that were interested in hiring me despite, or maybe because of the scandal. I had interviews, offers, better positions than the one I'd lost, actually. Officially, apparently standing up to fraud and fighting back made me attractive to companies that valued integrity. I accepted a position at Meridian Financial as a senior analyst with a clear path to team lead, starting at $10,003 with full benefits. My new boss, Caroline, was a woman in her 40s who'd read about the Patterson case and specifically requested to interview me. "I want people on my team who can't be intimidated," she said. "You proved you're that person." 3 months after being fired, I was employed again, making more money, working with people who valued competence over politics. But the real closure came in early August when I got a call from Patricia. "They both took plea deals," she said. Marcus pled to felony embezzlement and fraud. 3 years in prison, 5 years probation, full restitution to clients plus penalties. Jennifer pled to lesser charges, 18 months in prison, 3 years probation, permanent revocation of her CPA license. It's over? It's over. You won, Sarah. I sat with that for a long time after hanging up. Won. I'd won. Not just the case, not just the money or the job or the vindication. I'd won myself back. 1 year later, I stood in the kitchen at my new apartment, bigger than the old one. Better neighborhood, view of the park, making coffee on a Sunday morning. Sunlight streamed through the windows. My sister was visiting from Seattle, still asleep in the guest room. She'd finally gotten stable work. Her husband had found a better job, and she'd been amazed when I told her the whole story over wine the night before. "Mom knew," she'd said, tears in her eyes. "Somehow Mom knew you'd need that money for exactly this." I thought about that now, sipping coffee, looking at the photo of my mother on the bookshelf. She was smiling in it, holding me at my college graduation, proud, strong. She'd given me more than money. She'd given me the freedom to fight. The resources to demand justice, the ability to refuse to be broken. The criminal case was closed. Marcus was in federal prison in Pennsylvania. Jennifer was in a minimum security facility in Ohio. Patterson and Associates had implemented new oversight procedures and fraud detection systems. Mr. Williams had found a new wealth management firm and, surprisingly, had sent me a thank you note for exposing the fraud. I'd learned things about myself in those terrible months. I learned I was stronger than I thought. I learned that systems only work when you force them to work. I learned that justice isn't automatic. It's something you have to fight for, document, prove, and demand. I learned that betrayal isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's slow and planned, executed by people you trusted, for reasons as mundane as greed and self-preservation. But mostly I learned that you don't have to accept being a victim. You can investigate, you can gather evidence, you can hire the right people, you can fight back strategically and win. My phone buzzed. A text from Caroline, excited for the Henderson presentation tomorrow. "You're going to crush it." I smiled. Tomorrow I'd be presenting to a potential client worth $6 million in managed assets. "My presentation, my analysis, my win," I replied, ready. "Did you like the story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments." If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.